This isn't just a spear. It is an important piece of human history that allowed us to survive, to fight, to conquer, and to thrive. What does your ideal movement pattern look like? How do you properly thrust at people, and how do you keep others from thrusting at you? Basically, how to control other spears. These are the questions I'm going to answer today. Spear fighting basically comes down to one single thing. You want this point to travel from your origin into another origin. And you want to do this safely while avoiding the other incoming point or points. Pretty simple, right? And while of course you could utilize other techniques such as quarterstaff fighting techniques, for most of human history and for most of human warfare history where spears were involved, we focused on thrusting movements because there were many people around us and you didn't really have the room to maneuver that weapon around properly. For that reason, I'm going to focus on the thrusting movements. Let's go! So how to successfully wield a spear? To answer this question properly, let us begin with the basic movement patterns that you need in order to successfully wield this kind of weapon in a safe way. That means you are able to safely get your point across your line into the other person, and you can evade or bind the incoming weapon. In the beginning it might seem pretty obvious. You've got a pointy stick, your opponent got a pointy stick, you have to move your pointy stick into his face while avoiding his pointy stick. But when you keep in mind that you might have a lot of people around you doing the exact same thing, it gets a little bit more tricky. So let's start with the basic movement patterns. First, let us address the arms. For pole weapons in general, it is important and, in my opinion, mandatory to learn how to properly and effectively use all of the muscles involved in order to maximize endurance, control, and thrusting power. Contrary to what many people might think, it's not the arms and shoulder muscles that are dominant in holding the spear or the pole weapon, but your upper back. Think of yourself doing a pull-up, for example. And while that might seem horrifying to many of you, it's a useful exercise nonetheless. Grab the weapon, exaggerate your shoulder width, and then just pull it down. And really try to pull with your back muscles. So you should feel these parts on both sides, your lats. And these are primarily what will be holding your spear. Of course, you need your shoulders and arms to stabilize the weapon, but most of the power will come from your back. And once you learn to connect your back and arm muscles properly when wielding pole weapons, you will be almost impossible to move. Another benefit of doing this is these muscles on your back are way bigger than the small connected muscles in your shoulder girdle and arms. And thus it's just more effective, especially for longer bouts. And as it is with pretty much every weapon out there, of course, you need to utilize your torso, your core, in order to stabilize yourself and be strong. That means when you're resting in a ready position, sort of, you will feel almost no tension in your arms. You will feel the basic tension that you need to always have in your torso, and you will feel the lat, especially the one where the arm is a bit more forward. The only time where you will feel the weight of your weapon will be in the most forward position of your thrusts. If you're liking this video, then please share it, subscribe, and maybe check out the other stuff I've done. I think you might like it. Now onto the feet. We want to stand in such a manner that we become almost immovable to frontal assaults. So this wouldn't do, and this wouldn't do either. You want to have a hip-wide stance, frontward towards the opponent and the back foot slightly back and off to the side. This is a basic and very, very stable standing and moving position. We can use pretty much all of the stepping techniques that we know from longsword fencing, but what we will use the most will be the basic Wechselschritt, the Kreuzschritt, and of course lunges. Also, you have to be ready to quickly change your level in order to get the correct angle for proper thrusting. So that's the basic movement stuff done. But what about attacking? How do you thrust properly and what options do we have? A thrust is a pretty basic movement. What you need to take into consideration though is your intensity. If you put too much energy into your thrusts, you will overextend your reach, lose structure and will be unable to defend yourself from incoming attacks. So be mindful and precise. For the most part, you can think of your spear point as a piston that you shove into the opposing side like a sewing machine, only much more deadly. These movements don't take a lot of energy and will still do their job if they connect with an opponent. It's a giant force multiplier, so let it do its job. Harder thrusts should be done in combination with the proper footwork, as you will be able to apply a lot more force through a step with your whole body than with the arms alone. Also, this way you won't overextend your arms. But what about the staying safe part? Here comes the part where a lot of people might have some dreadful feelings. Athleticism. You need to be both light enough on your feet to evade incoming attacks and strong enough in the stance to be able to dominate and win a binding situation, or if people are pushing in and you need to hold your ground. The bind is a safety spot for both you and your opponent. The person who gets to dominate it will most likely come out on top on a fight and be able to finish off the other guy. And to execute this correctly, you will need to include all of the points that I have mentioned before. You might need to use a quick and sudden change of your level in order to pierce through your opponent's defense. Having a strong core and a good hip placement in order to be able to displace an incoming strike effectively. Utilize a good combination of quick thrusts and strong pushes to win the timing and tempo game. Or dominate the bind. With all of these points, no pun intended here, I hope I could give you a good perspective on this wonderful weapon and help you to get the most out of your combat encounters in the future. And no matter what kind of spear you're using, be it one-handed, two-handed, or whatever form the tip may have or however long it is, this will apply to all of them. I have been Ragnar from Fraser on Fencing. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe and I hope to see you again in the next video. Ciao!